What's going on, boys? Yes, this is the video I decided to start my Aion 2 career with. And you might be wondering why Lost Ark versus Aion 2. Well, the truth is that I've been around for a long time, and all these questions I've been getting them from either my stream or many other content creators through months and months and months. And it's a topic of conversation pretty much every day. Okay, so I did the homework for you. That way you don't have to do it. You're welcome. And I'm gonna have 9 categories in this video, which they're gonna be different topics where you're gonna be able to go through each one of them. And I'm gonna have timestamps. That way, let's say for example, you don't have enough time to actually watch the whole video, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a long video. I mean, it's 81 questions, okay? I want to say upfront, sorry if I make a mistake and I just continue with the video, because I don't have an editor right now, and maybe in the future I'll pay for one, okay? Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you actually want to see more of this content. And let's go, let's begin. By the way, for those that don't know me, my name is Mr. 4K TV. I'm one of those content creators that don't sugarcoat things, and I call it how it is. So if you see me talking not definitely like negative towards Lost Ark or Aion, I'm just like that. I just say how it is, and it is what it is. But I'm gonna be a little more easygoing, okay, this time alone. Right, let's begin with this. This is going to be the categories: monetization and pay to win, time commitment that you have to spend into the game, the progression, the alts and characters. Going to be the PvE and PvP, guild, social systems, gameplay, combat. Does it respect your time, and overall verdict? Okay. Well, let's begin. Is the monetization and pay to win? Is it pay to win? Both of them are pay to win. Now, if you ask me which one is more pay to win, I have to say Lost Ark, for the simple fact that Lost Ark has the Esther weapon. And just the Esther weapon alone is just destroy Aion, right? So not only you have the Esther weapon, and then you have everything else that I'm not going to be listing in this video because we're not going to finish. However, I want to make sure to say this: Aion 2 is also pay to win. So not necessarily because you don't have an Esther weapon doesn't mean that you cannot spend a crazy amount of money, okay? So that is that. How strong is the pay to win? I'll say that for both of them are really strong. However, I'll say that it's a little bit more punishing in Aion 2 for the simple fact that you have the PvP. And now, if you're aware, when you actually pay to win in PvE, right? Well, if you got no hands, even if you got the best gear, you can die through mechanics because they are one-shots and whatnot. Now, in PvP, it's slightly a little different. Even if you got no hands, but you got over gear, over power, and you actually hit somebody and you one-tap them, there's no skill required, right? So that's why I say it's a little stronger on Aion versus Lost Ark. Can you buy power directly? In both of them, you can. Can you buy progression? In both of them, you can. You can buy bosses, and in both of them, you can. Can you buy convenience? In both of them, you can. Okay? How important is spending money? Well, that depends what you want to do, right? So if you want to be a person that is super competitive and whatnot, and you want to be on the ranking ladder in Aion 2, then pay to win is going to be important in a way, right? So that doesn't mean that a person that is free to play are not going to be able to destroy you, but the chances are lower, right? A person that is a whale with hands, unfortunately, is just going to smoke you. It's just how it is. Is there a subscription and pay aura? Yes, there is a subscription in Aion 2, and there is a pay aura in Lost Ark. What is the difference? The difference is that in Lost Ark you can actually farm the resources, and with those resources you can actually pay the aura, versus in Aion 2 you actually have to swipe for it, okay? Is that a major advantage for whales? In both of them, big advantage in PvP and PvE, because they can buy infinite. So compared to the average players that unfortunately they're not going to have the resources to actually get to that level so fast and so quick, etc., the whales are always going to have an advantage, okay? Are cosmetic sustainable free to play? There's going to be cosmetic free to play, and there's always going to be cosmetic pay to win. That's just how they make money, guys. That's the business model, okay? Does the game heavily push the cash up? Lost Ark more than Aion 2. By far. Man. Not even close, okay? Does the game use dark patterns? Both of them do. I'll say that Lost Ark a bit more, because you have more character per se. You can do more dailies and whatnot, even though that's towards the dailies, which we're gonna be covering that as well too. But both of them have dark patterns, okay? It's slightly different, but both of them have dark patterns. Well, time commitment. How much time do you need to play per day? This is where things get a little sideways. Well, in Lost Ark, unfortunately, you need, sorry, 6 characters, a top 6. Everybody knows this. A top 6, and somebody can argue saying, I just play 1 character. Yeah, maybe you're a whale or you are super behind. There is no way you can keep up with a person that is playing 6 characters versus you that is playing only 1 character, please. I've been around for a long time, okay? So save it. And so in Lost Ark, you need to play per day. It depends if you're gonna be doing your homework, like your chaos dungeons, your guardians, etc., etc. It can vary, right? So it will be, I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes to 40 minutes versus Aion 5 minutes to 10 minutes, because you have only 1 daily that you can do. You got 5 dailies that you can do in 1 character versus multiple characters. You cannot. You do it on duties, it's only 5 dailies, and that's it. That's the daily activities. Now in Lost Ark, you have dailies, you have chaos dungeons, you have guardians. Even though it's less now, you still have more than Aion. Okay, are the weekly activities mandatories? Well, I kind of want to say no, but in reality, I have to say yes. And the reason why I say this is because if you stop skipping weekly stuff, that's when you start falling behind. Even though you can, right? But then eventually in the future, depending how long you're playing for versus a person that is doing their stuff weekly, that person is going to have an advantage over you because they've been doing it, right? Versus you that you're not doing it. And then I'm going to elaborate later on with more videos about this topic as well too, for gatekeeping and whatnot. Does missing a day hurt your progression? In Lost Ark, way more than Aion, because in Lost Ark you have to do it on every character, and in Aion you have to do it only on your main. So it will hurt your main, right? Versus your whole account, pretty much. Even though if you care too much about your main, and well, it actually hurts as well too. How much the FOMO does the game create? I'll say that both create FOMO. It depends on the person. If the person wants to be super competitive, is trying to catch up to the whales, that's when the FOMO begins, right? Can you take like a week break? In Lost Ark, definitely not. I mean, you can, right? Because you're not obligated to do it, but you're gonna be hurting. Unfortunately, it's gonna hurt you more than Aion too. And I wanna say this as well too. As of right now, Aion wins in this question. A lot of these questions are gonna vary depending how many years we get, right? Because we're gonna be talking about this as well later on. The reason why. Does the game respect your time? Aion way more than Lost Ark, by far. Even though I wanna give it to Lost Ark a little bit because now you have a lot of solo content as well too, which it respects your time in a way because you can do it whenever you want versus, you know, like you have to do it in Wednesday or Thursday because that's when people are playing because they don't want to play anymore right past after the weekend. You know, that's when you start getting the rats and whatnot. So Lost Ark is doing better now. How much repetitive content is there? And both of them are a lot of repetitive content. It's always going to be the same. So in Lost Ark, it's just going to be a raid simulacrum, right? So you're always going to be doing raids, and you're going to be doing chaos dungeons, guardians, or raids. Next week, chaos dungeon, guardian, and raid. And in Aion, it's slightly the same. The only difference is that you have PvP, so you can rotate between doing PvP and PvE, and then it changes a little bit because, you know, in PvP, it's always going to be different classes, different scenarios, different stuff, right? So that's the difference right there. Can you play casually? Aion 2, yes. Lost Ark, no. Please don't question this. Trust. Progression. How fast can a new player progress? Well, in this one, in Lost Ark, it take you, depending on the system that we're talking about, right? There is system that it will take you 6 months to like a year plus just to catch up. So I am by far got this as of right now. How difficult is catching up to veterans? The game has been out for too long, Lost Ark, compared to Aion, so it's hard to tell. But hopefully, eventually in the future, Aion keep on getting better casual systems. Which, if they keep getting better casual system, then Aion is going to be much easier to catch up to the veterans. Is the progression time gated? It is. It is time gated. Eventually, you're gonna get to a wall in both of them. Okay. How much RNG is involved? A lot in both of them. In both of them is RNG. Korean MMOs. Can you target specific upgrades? Of course you can. Either the weapon, you can target in Lost Ark and just get it to 25. The same thing you can do in Aion, target the weapon and just get it maxed out. You can do the same thing. Can you lose resources progression when upgrading? No. Not on my knowledge. Nope. Nope. How important is the gear score and the item level? Very important. Well, so for people that have no understanding what this means, the gear score is the gear required for you to enter the raid, right? I mean, the item level is the item level required to enter the game and the raid, and the gear score is what's gonna give you the strength, right? So what happens is that most of the time, let's say for example, you are 1,000 item level, and that's the content is 1,000 item level, but your gear score is 50k, and compared to a person that is at that 100k, right? So they will choose that person that is 100k versus that person that is 50k. You get what I'm saying? So it's super important. How expensive is getting a character? They are very expensive if you mean like pay to win wise. Okay, so Lost Ark is more expensive because you need more alts. And you gotta buy gems. If you playing the same class, it's slightly cheaper, way cheaper actually, because you don't have to be buying gems on every character and accessories on every character. So Lost Ark is way more expensive in that regards. How complicated is the progression system? Well, as of right now, I'll say Aion 2 has like 15 progression systems, and they sound like a lot. And in reality, it is a lot. Hopefully, it stays there and they don't continue adding more, because of what happened with this type of games, because they are so vertical, they keep adding systems. And the problem with these systems is that if they don't nerf the systems and they continue adding more systems, then it becomes like Lost Ark pretty much. You get what I'm saying? Because in Lost Ark, they do nerf the system, but it takes them like 6 months. Wait for Loan, wait for Loan, wait for Loan, etc., right? So as of right now, Lost Ark has way more complicated progression system than Aion, and hopefully Aion change and doesn't turn like Lost Ark, because if not, this is gonna be 07 pretty much. Can an average player reach endgame in Lost Ark? Yes, average player can reach endgame content, but it depends, right? If you mean like a new player versus a person that been playing since day one. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. That's the difference. All right, let's talk about alts and characters. Do you need alts in Lost Ark? Yes. And I know that you might say once again, no, I play one character, I'm on endgame content, look, I'm a whale, and I'm 1800, I'm like 10k CP. You can't really compare the whales versus the average players. You can't really compare yourself that you sell carries or bosses or all these things versus a person that doesn't. So in reality, in Lost Ark you need alt, in Aion you do not. It's good to have it, but you do not need it, right? In Lost Ark you need the alts. Are alts optional or highly recommended? Once again, in Lost Ark, 100% mandatory in my opinion. If you ask me, if you really want to be competitive and be at the top like everybody else, you need them. In Aion, you don't really need it. It's recommended you can have like, I don't know, 1 or 2 different alts if you really wanted to, but you don't really need it. Are alts mainly resource generators? Yes, in a way. Not anymore in Lost Ark. That changed because materials are now character wide. So whatever you get in that character, it stays there pretty much. And in Aion as well too, there's actually a couple of things that you can actually put on the roster storage that will benefit your main. So yeah, the more character you have, the more benefit you can get towards your main, right? It's nothing crazy either, right? How expensive are the alts to maintain? In Lost Ark, very expensive. And those are very expensive versus Aion. But it's actually kind of hard to tell because Aion being out for like a year or so, maybe like a couple of months actually, like 10 months right now, versus Lost Ark, they're being out for a lot of years. So we'll see in a couple of years what happens. How much time do alts require? But in reality, for it all depends, right? So since you have to play 6 characters in Lost Ark, that will be around 15 to 20 hours a week versus Aion 5 to 15 hours. That's talking about 4 characters versus 6 characters. So I'll say it's kind of maybe the same if you play 6 characters. It's pretty much kind of the same. But you remember, you don't need it. So if you actually put yourself in a situation where you're actually playing the same amount of like Lost Ark, it's because you want to, not because you need to. That's a big difference, right? Can progression resources be shared? Yes and no, right? In Ion 2, you can actually share some progression and some resources can be shared. In Lost Ark, the progression can be shared, yes, and the resources cannot be fully shared. How easy is to change the classes and play styles? Very complicated for both of them. Very hard for Lost Ark if you have your main at the top and you have a character, one of your alts that is not really at the top, and you want to change alts, to have your alt to be your main and like that. Well, it's very expensive and it's very hard. The same thing in Aion. Both of them is not really recommended, especially if you've been playing for so many years. And the difference between the main and the alts is big. It's really, really hard. All right, let's talk about PvE and PvP. Can you play completely solo? In Lost Ark, now you can. Yes. Big W. And Aion, as of right now, not really. How much solo content is 6? In Lost Ark? A lot. Now you can do pretty much everything solo. In Aion, not as much. How much group content exists? Group content, pretty much you can do everything you can do solo in Lost Ark, you can do it in groups. So if you don't like to do solo content, you can actually do it in groups. And there is also definitely a lot of things to do in groups in Aion too. Is PvP mandatory? No and yes, yes and no. The reason why I say yes and no and no and yes is because you don't really have to do it, but it will benefit you to do it because you're gonna be able to farm something that is called AP, abyssal points, and those abyssal points are gonna allow you to actually buy some goodies, not only for PvP wise, but also because you can buy stigmas, and those stigmas are gonna actually increase your CP idle level on all these things for you to do more damage in PvP and PvE. So a person that is doing PvP constantly and gonna have more stigma than you, so they're gonna have per se more damage than you. So I highly recommend you to do PvP. There is no PvP in Lost Ark, so it doesn't apply. Okay, is PvP mandatory for progression? Another thing too. Anything that related to PvP doesn't apply to Lost Ark. Okay, is PvP important for progression? It is. It is in a way. It is. Even if somebody tells you no, it is actually. It will benefit you if you actually do it. Is PvP gear dependent? Yes. Yes, because the thing is, like, if you have a whale that has like PvE gear in the game in Ion 2, you have PvP stats and PvE stats. So a whale with PvE gear in PvP is just gonna get destroyed. Now the same thing, it just go the other way around to a whale in PvP gear is gonna get destroyed from a whale in PvE doing PvE. You get what I'm saying? So depending on which area we're talking about, that person that have the gear, the PvP or PvE is gonna dominate. Is there open world PvP? Yes, but now you can actually select if you wanna be on for PvP or off for PvP. So you can be on the open world, and when the rift happens, if you are toggle PvE, nobody can attack you. Okay. And that's so that question number 8, which is can you get ganked and grief if you are on PvP mode and you on the open world and somebody is flagged on PvP, they can gank you for real. Yeah, but if you put a PvE, then nobody can attack you. And how difficult is the end game in PvE? I'll say that Lost Ark got this one for the simple fact that it has normal, hard mode, and nightmare, I believe it is, versus versus Aion, it has different stages, which increases the difficulty. But when it comes down to the rates, it's just only one difficulty as of right now. So Lost Ark got that one. Okay. How difficult is finding groups? It all depends. If you have friends, or if you're doing it solo, then both of them can be difficult depending on the needs or what people is really asking for. And that's the reason why I want to emphasize you don't want to fall behind in this type of games, because eventually it just become harder for you to find groups. Okay. And guilds and social systems. Is joining a guild worth it? Yes and no, but I highly recommend in both of them to be in a guild. In Lost Ark, you actually benefit from the bloodstones, which you can get materials, you can get cubes, etc., which is gonna benefit you. And in Aion 2 is gonna benefit you because you're gonna have groups, which you're gonna be avoiding gatekeeping, etc., and you can do PvP more comfortably. Okay. Do you need a guild for endgame? In both of them, you don't really need the guild, but they will help once again to make it easier for you. Do you need a static group for of players? Do you need a static group of players? And not really, but once again, having it will make your life easier. Can you poke most of the content? Yes, you can. All you need is just the gear score, the item level, and the gear score. And then if you actually at the top, like everybody else, most likely you're gonna poke everything easy. How important is communication? Once you learn the fights, you don't really need any type of communication, neither in Lost Ark or Ion 2. You just join, do whatever you have to do, and keep it moving. Like that's really gonna be optional. It's good to communicate because that's how games tend to die, because it's super stale. Nobody wants to talk to nobody, and yeah, it's good to talk, especially on MMOs. But things has changed nowadays. Does the guild provide meaningful progression? Eh, somewhat, not really. It's just like the benefit from having people around you and making things easier. That's it. Is the game friendly to solo players? In Lost Ark now it is much more than Ion 2, in my opinion, if you ask me. Sorry. Gameplay and combat. Which one has better combat? I shouldn't be answering this. It's Lost Ark, of course. Which has better classes variety? Lost Ark has like 30 classes, I believe, right now, and Ion has only 9 classes. So yes, Lost Ark. How important is skill versus gear? The skill versus gear, it will depend if it's normalized PvP, right? It's normalized. Everybody got the same gear. Skill will matter more. Now, if it's an open world and it's PvP in the abyss, it don't matter how much skill you have. If somebody one tap you, you have to sit in the corner. Please respect the whales. Keep it moving. Kill somebody your level. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. I'm gonna call it how it is. How complicated are the classes? I say Lost Ark is more complicated because it's rotation based, where you actually have to do your rotation all the time, versus Ion 2, where you have a macro. All you press pretty much one key and it will do pretty much the rotation for you. How enjoyable is the moment to moment gameplay? Well, that would depend from person to person, in my opinion, because like you can play Lost Ark and have fun, right? And the same thing will be with Ion. You can definitely play Ion and have fun. Not only on the PvE side, but also the PvP, because you guys know that PvP is fun, right? So a person that does PvP, they know that that's why they play PvP, because it's fun, right? So yeah. How much grinding is required? I'll say that in Lost Ark, even though you kind of limited eventually to the point where you can't do no more, because I mean you exhausted all your rates, etc., etc. I will say that both of them are pretty much kind of like the same. Even though in Ion 2 you can actually do a lot of PvP, so yes, you can grind. And at the beginning, you're gonna be grinding a lot in both games, because both of them have horizontal stuff. So if we're talking about like end game content, and I think both of them kind of similar, to be honest. How much automated assist? I'll say that in both of them, like a little bit, low key, not so much. Which game feel better for casual players? Ion 2 by far, as of right now. Let me make sure to say that as well too. Which game feels better for hardcore players? Um, it all depends because the thing is, I didn't get to ranking. So a person that actually wanna do rankings and stuff like that, in Ion there is actually more content where you can actually do rankings versus Lost Ark. I think Lost Ark, the Lost Ark ranking is only what is called um I forgot the name of it. The tower they just go down. That's the only place you can actually do ranking. This doesn't have PvP. So in Ion, Ion have multiple ways where you can do rankings. So I guess for hardcore players, if you actually like rankings and things like that, even though if we're talking about the PvE aspect, then it will be Lost Ark. If we're talking about content wise, who got more for hardcore players, it will be Aion as of right now. Does it respect you or your time, which is one of the most important questions? Well, this game respect your time. Lost Ark, I have to say that now it does compared to how it used to be back in the days. Back in the days, it did not respect your time at all. Like it was just like the amount of content you had to do, how hard it was. Like you had to do two Chaos Dungeons, two Guardians, multiple. Just like let's not even talk about it, okay? Versus Ion 2 is just simply just play one character if you want to, play 5 hours, play 10 hours, whatever you want. So in a way, Ion 2 as of right now, beat it by 100 miles, I think. Even though Lost Heart has changed and got better, we respecting your time. Does the game respect your money? Eh, yes, right. Because okay, so let's put it like this. So the convenience that you get from paying the aura is just convenience, right? For you to actually get repairs and things like that in Lost Heart. And the $15 you pay in Aion is just to support the game, to avoid bots for whatever reason they have. Like multiple games have like a monthly subscription, right? So it's either $10, $15, or whatever the case might be. So I guess it respect your money in a way, right? So whatever you actually getting for the money you're paying in the game, it's actually worth, in my opinion. Now you can ask somebody else; it might tell you, "Damn, $10, that's a lot of money." And then you can ask people like me, then $10, $15 is like not really a lot of money, right? So depending you who you asking. Does it punish you from taking breaks? Lost Heart, 100%. Actually, 200%. Can't take breaks. You, you can't really take breaks. And if you take breaks, you have to come back, pay the cousins, spend a couple of $1,000, a couple of bangers in order to catch up, to keep up, etc., etc. In Ion 2, taking breaks as of right now is not that bad, but eventually it will be bad, I'm pretty sure, in the future. So that is that, okay? As of right now, the game is too fresh, too new to tell. Does it create FOMO? It kind of does in a way because it's games that actually have pay to wins. So if you got whales in games and then you actually a competitive person that doesn't whale and you don't sell carries or things of this nature to actually get more resources for the time that you actually play the game, then it will create FOMO. You know, because you're gonna see people at the top and you're gonna, damn, I wanna be like them. If you are one of those persons, then unfortunately it will create FOMO. Yes. Does it constantly push you towards spending? Lost Heart, I will say that yes. Yes, you know that, guys. Yeah, Lost Ark does 100%. In Aion, I've been playing for a couple of months now, and the only thing I bought it was skins, pretty much. I haven't even bought the other little subscriptions that you can buy. I haven't even bought that. So not really right now. I don't know if it's just because I have different mindset or whatnot, but I haven't really felt it right. In Lost Ark, there was actually something the last system that we had. They used to put packs or books or things like that inside the packs, and then you was like, damn, this is a good. Even though it's $100, you was like, damn, $100, but you're able to get this and that, so they push you to actually spend money. You know what I'm saying? Is there too many daily, weekly maintenance in Lost Heart? There is. Yeah, because it's per character. So the more character you have, more dailies and more weeklies. etc., etc. Even though they have combined things where you can actually do the dailies and at the same time you kind of doing the weeklies and stuff. But yes, as right now, Lost Ark has more dailies and weeklies maintenance than Aion as of right now. Can you play without feeling behind? Lost Ark is very hard unless you are actually like a veteran or something like that. But if you are a new player, very complicated. And as of right now in Aion 2, it doesn't feel bad yet. However, that might change in the future depending how many years we go. And then if you start as a new player and they don't have casual systems. Can you enjoy the game without optimizing everything? Yes, in both of them, right? And now more Lost Ark for the simple fact that you have the solo content, right? So now you can't really talk smack about Lost Ark because you don't really need bees, you know? Now, if you're gonna be competitive and stuff like that, of course, in both of them, you kind of wanna be optimize everything. Is the game stressful to keep up with? Lost Ark was and still is, if you ask me personally, because the game is designed in a way where you actually have to do things. You can't force. There is no such thing of saying like, oh, I'm not gonna do it. But yes, you can not do it, but you're gonna fall behind. I don't want to hear it from people saying or trying to defend their argument. This is not about debating or things like that. This is factors, guys. I played the game for so many years. I know how it is. The less you play, the more behind you're gonna be. Period. So yeah, in Aion 2 as of right now, it's not like that because you don't have so much weekly content per character. So hopefully it stays like that. And yeah, that will be the difference, okay? And overall verdict, is it worth starting today? I'll say Lost Ark. Hell no. No way. There is no shot. How are you gonna start 6 characters at top 6? Tell me. There's no way, bro. No way. Unless they make some systems that actually catch up, but no, not really. You can look at the numbers. You can see that there's actually nobody coming into the game. I'm not talking smack about Lost Ark, just factos. And Aion 2 is a new game. Of course, it's actually worth starting today. The game hasn't even started yet. I mean, it did start in Taiwan and Korea. But for global, it will be definitely worth to start right away. Is it worth spending money? It's kind of like a question where like, is it worth smoking cigarettes and things like that of that nature, right? It's really not worth it, right? But you can if you want to and if you have the money and you can afford to do so, right? But I mean, depending who you're asking, it's worth it. Is it worth investing hundreds of hours? Once again, that all depends how competitive you want to be and how much you want to keep up with everybody else, okay? So, of course, the more time you spend, the more you can keep up with others, right? That's just how it is. Is this beginner friendly? It's a little hard to tell because in Lost Ark, the game has been there for so long, per se, has so many systems and it is super overwhelming. It's just like playing World of Warcraft, right? It has like a lot of systems, and if you're not really familiar with the game, then you're gonna be all over the place. You're gonna get lost. It's gonna take you a while to get used to it. Versus Aion, Aion has like 15 different systems that are not as bad to get used to, but eventually it will cost you a little bit, right? So that's that. Is it friendly for to casual players? Lost Ark. Not really, because it all depends how much casual the person is, right? Because some people have an idea of a casual player, which is different for some people. Some people actually are casual to the point of logging into the character and logging out. That's casual for them. You get what I'm saying? Like you can't beat these casual players nowadays, bro. In 2026, it's insane. So it's like a hard question, but is in Ion 2 is definitely easier to be a casual than Lost Ark for sure, yes, because it requires less characters and whatnot and less homework and stuff. Is it friendly to hardcore players? It is definitely friendly to hardcore players. Lost Ark, eh, somewhat, and Ion definitely yes. Which game has the better long term potential? Hard to tell because well, Lost Ark is such a great game that nobody thought that it was gonna suffer was suffering right now, right? Nobody really expected Lost Ark to be going down so much as it's going right now because it's such a good game. But due to the fact that Man, I don't know honestly what happened. Even though I know what happened, I just don't want to enter into that right now. It's hard to tell. Okay. Hopefully Aion lasts for a long time. Hopefully, um, management actually does well versus how they did in Lost Heart, and things get better. Okay. So this is a hard question. Which game will you recommend right now? Aion 200%. You cannot recommend Lost Heart. It don't matter if I love Lost Ark. It don't matter if I'm a real fanatic. You cannot recommend Lost Ark. You be like a delusional person if you actually recommend Lost Ark. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to call you or offending you, but you cannot recommend Lost Ark. Let's be honest. Even though if it has like so much solo content and it's so easy, etc., etc., but in reality, you're never gonna catch up. If you like start the game right now, like today, and you try to keep up with your whole roster, it's not gonna happen. Come on. And this is my final score with the monetization and pay to win. Lost Ark versus Aion. The winner on the monetization will be Lost Ark for the simple fact that in Lost Ark you can actually farm the resources and buy the aura, right? Versus in Aion 2, you cannot do that. And we're talking about pay to win. Lost Ark is way worse. Tight commitment, Aion wins because as of right now you don't have to spend as much time as you have to spend in Lost Ark, but that can change, so we never know. Okay, so remember this video is made in 2026. I don't know when you're watching this video, so things might change eventually in the future. In progression, Aion 2 right now, it's easier to progress in Aion 2. Once again, it's because the game has been out less longer than Lost Ark. So yeah, that's the reason why it's winning. Also, and characters, Aion is way better because it requires you to have less characters to actually progress in the game versus Lost Ark, where it's mandatory to have a top 6, and everybody knows this. PvE versus PvP. Well, in PvE, Lost Ark is gonna win 100%. The PvE Lost Ark is way better, and the PvP Aion, for the simple fact that Lost Ark doesn't have PvP, even though Lost Ark PvP was completely garbage, anyways, in my opinion, of course. Guild and social systems, I think both are the same. It's actually good to have it. I highly recommend in both of them to actually have it. It will save you a lot of time and a lot of headache. And yeah, I will recommend them both of them the same. And gameplay and combat, Lost Ark. I mean, Lost Ark is probably one of the greatest MMO all time in gameplay. Okay, yeah, you can argue like World of Warcraft. You can argue Nocturnal Liberty. You can argue BDO, but come on, does it respect you? Well, Aion does as of right now. It wins, and yeah. Which game will you recommend right now? Well, like I said before, Aion 2. I recommend Aion 2 or Lost Ark 100%. This might change in the future, and then maybe you're watching this video a couple of years and you're like, damn, you really recommend the Aion 2. Aion 2 is dying, Aion 2 is dead. We don't really know the future what's going to happen, but that's the truth as of right now, okay? So which one is worth your time? In my opinion, I think both of them can be worth your time if that's what you really like, right? So not necessarily because Lost Ark has more negative than Aion 2 as of right now means that it's not worth your time, right? Because if you actually a person that enjoy Lost Ark and you like Lost Ark, there's nothing wrong with playing Lost Ark. You know what I'm saying? That's not the reason why I stopped playing Lost Ark because it was bad or anything like that. I made a video before this video that you can actually watch and have a better understanding why I decided to stop playing Lost Ark. But yeah, definitely Aion 2. And by far, if you have any comments that you want to add or any other question, you can leave it in the comment below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, guys. And I put a lot of time. I did a lot of homework. I actually been cooking a lot for Aion 2. I actually want to do the best. I'm planning to go to the moon with Aion 2, guys. I'm gonna be working very, very hard to actually achieve all the things that I wasn't able to achieve in Lost Ark. And with your help, we're gonna make it. I love you guys. This is all. This is my video for you guys. Hopefully it serves as a help and you can actually make your mind if you want to play Aion 2. I'm definitely gonna be streaming it in Twitch, Mr. 4K TV. And then yeah, if you want to play Lost Ark, go for it. I already advise you, and then don't be complaining later on. Much love, guys. I love you guys. Peace out. Be easy. Take care.